What's good, YouTube? Whether you guys like it or not, the college football season is back in full effect. Once again, it's Casey the GOAT for Vernon Speak Sports. We're talking Auburn football like nobody else will, probably. Well, today, the Athlon has released the preseason all-SEC teams. They actually have that thing in 4 tiers, actually 4 teams this year. And you may not be surprised at where Auburn fits, but a very talented group in this particular class. Hope you all enjoyed this video. War Eagle. What's good, YouTube? We're very busy in the month of May talking about Auburn football as we approach the 2019 season. Athlon has come out with the all-SEC team. Now, we talk about, the Auburn Tigers and where they plan to be as far as success going into 2019. And I think Auburn is definitely positioned to have a successful season. What does it take to be successful in the SEC? Well, obviously, I think you need experience. And I think Auburn has done very well in retaining some experience. Marlon Davidson, Nick Coe, and Derek Brown declined pursuing NFL careers this year and come back to Auburn to give definitely some solidarity at the defensive line and that much needed experience for the Auburn Tigers. What else do you need to win in the SEC? I think you need to be too deep in all of your key positions. You talk about Auburn having 2 quarterbacks. I think I hope the Malik Willis transfer does not tell on the Auburn Tigers. But you talk about 2 very talented quarterbacks for the Tigers. They definitely will have to get on the recruiting trail for 2020 to make sure that they keep the depth solid at quarterback, but at the same time, very solid this year, probably for the first time in quite some time. Also, at the running back position, you talk about a lot of diversity. That's what you need in the SEC. Also, depth at the line of scrimmage. Now, the offensive line is coming back, very experienced group for the Tigers. Had some challenges on last year, but we would like to think that they would be able to progress from last year's efforts. Excuse me. Now, when we talk about the SEC football 2019 all-conference team, you cannot talk about this list without mentioning the University of Alabama, who has 7 players on this particular list, including Jerry Jeudy and Najee Harris and Tua Tagovailoa, who had an incredible season last year. Georgia actually is flirting around with this list as well. They got a great running back on this. I really like DeAndre Swift, very fast. Not sure about his physicality. He just hasn't been asked to do that yet, but he's a great running back for the Georgia Bulldogs. And then you talk about Andrew Thomas, a great offensive lineman for Georgia. But then when you get also with the Auburn Tigers probably having one of the more athletic offensive linemen in the SEC in Prince Tega Wanagu, I think this young man is positioned to at least be a lower tier first-round pick in the NFL draft because of his athleticism, maybe at worst early second-round War Eagle. On the defensive side of the football, not surprisingly, Derek Brown makes the list. If you have not been around or on the scene, or if you've been hiding under a rock, you will not know the impact of Derek Brown's return to the Auburn Tigers for 2019. As a matter of fact, after Auburn shellacked Purdue, Derek Brown announced that he was going to return for the Auburn Tigers. A huge, huge level of retention for the Tigers. Definitely adding some solidarity to the defensive line, because I have a feeling if Derek Brown would have declared for the NFL draft, you talking about depletion and having to move some things around that probably would not have worked. War Eagle. So we keep going down the list. I really like this list, a very talented group of guys. And if you think about the SEC conference, you think about talent, because usually the top 5 teams in the country, recruiting-wise, usually are representative by the SEC. Okay, we talk about defensive linemen. I was also very impressed with Justin Matabuke out of Texas A&M. He's very disruptive. Great guy. Great defensive lineman for Texas A&M. Now, very interestingly, as we look at the defensive line, at least in the middle tier category, well, the second category, excuse me, you talk about Nick Cole, Marlon Davidson, who are second team and third team respectfully on that particular list. Now, when we go up, we have to talk about the running back position for Auburn. You know, you're talking about for the first time in a very long time, Auburn did not have a 1,000-yard rusher. Representing Auburn on the fourth team for the running backs is Jartarvius Whitlow. The locals like to call him Booby. He is from Lafayette, Alabama, which is about 15, maybe 20 minutes, depending on where you're coming from Auburn. This guy had a very, very interestingly impressive freshman year for the Auburn Tigers. It is our thoughts that he will be a 1,000-yard rusher this year, maybe being able to climb to maybe the second or third tier of the all-SEC list. I'm very doubtful with the talent of DeAndre Swift that he will eclipse DeAndre Swift's efforts at Georgia, but I think Booby Whitlow will have a very successful season. We're talking Auburn football here and in the Deep South, where college football is king, and the battle cry in East Alabama, where Auburn University rests. They call that place the loveliest village on the plains. The battle cry is War Eagle. Once again, it's K2 to go for Vernon Speaks Sports Auburn. Go ahead and like this video. Comment, because I know you got some stuff you want to talk about as far as this list goes. I am going to leave the link to this particular article in the description section of this particular video. You all have an incredible afternoon. It is hot. Drink a lot of water so you can hydrate yourself. War Eagle.